Living. Northern Light Center for Spiritual Living is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Light Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes where?
In our lives.
And our promise here is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge how much of what we know in this country today, its culture, economic growth, and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labors and sacrifices, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and the resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our opening song in this very room by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. Oh Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room. So one of the things we do with the Northern Light Center for Spiritual Living is that we can sample a variety of different spiritual practices. So the practice that we are engaging in now is meditation. So I'm going to invite people to get a seat.
Oh, my daughter-in-law's on.
And as you grab your seat, you just notice yourself being supported. So much goes on in our lives where we may feel under-supported, or we may feel that challenges are all that is going on. But when we just take a seat, or we just stand, there is the earth holding us up. I don't think anybody here has ever been out in space so that they've been floating without gravity. So we are always in a space of support. And you may notice the sound of the rain in the background. So just as the earth is supporting our every step, just as the seat under us is supporting our body, our weight, with the sound of the rain, we live in an ecosystem. We live in an environment that is responding to us. If you drove here, how much did you notice all of the vegetation en route? If you're tuning in from home, Is it possible from a window to look out and see greenery? Or perhaps you have greenery inside your home. There's this constant exchange. We breathe out carbon dioxide, and the plants around us absorb that, and they, in exchange, release oxygen, which supports us. As I draw attention to this, as I draw attention to all of the ways that we are supported, I invite us to consider how we might move through our lives with an increased level of boldness. Because if our steps are supported, if our bodies are supported, if our breath is supported, what if we lean into those supports and we press back and boldly give what we are able to give into the world? Just be present to the unique qualities that we each find within ourselves. Those endowments. Perhaps those are things we're very aware of, even proud of. Perhaps they're items or things that people have mentioned to us that surprises us. Just allow those qualities to become more present. Just like the sound of the rain being present, let ourselves be washed over by those aspects of ourselves, those unique qualities. That have brought changes to the world. Let those call us forward to move more boldly, to move with greater confidence, to move with greater power, greater presence. Again, just as we hear the sound of the rain and hear the sound of thunder, where might we be a thunderous presence in this cosmos? Where might we need to make a sound? Is there something to affirm? Is there something to disrupt? and gently acknowledge that within which can guide and move us. Consider embracing ourselves. Consider embracing that bold quality, those bold qualities whose expression are continuing the acts of creation in this cosmos. And in the presence of that, allow yourself to become present to the space where we are. Perhaps it's noticing our feet on the floor. Once again, noticing a chair if we're seated. And when you feel ready, come back to the room. Open your eyes. And I say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And we have our declaration. And for people who are familiar, what we do is we go through this 3 times. For people who aren't familiar, we go through this 3 times. So we will say it once, and then as we say it, allow it to build up. Allow it to empower us. So please join me. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. And one more time, we are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. And so it is. So today's reading is a little bit different. It's actually going to be, we're going to be listening to a series of words that are being shared through a YouTube presentation. And I am going to find it and share it on this screen. So. Yeah.
I don't care how scared you are. What you need to do is make bold decisions. Right now, you've got to begin training yourself to act. You've got to begin training yourself to take chances, to put yourself at risk, to risk embarrassment, to know that you're going to fail. That's the only way that you're ever going to get the things that you want out of life. All of us want to do something extraordinary. All of us want to be great. All of us have something inside ourselves. And if we knew we couldn't fail, we would pursue that. And that question, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? That question is one of the most important questions that you can ever ask yourself. And the reality is you can do that thing. But you're going to have to be bold. You're going to have to take chances. You're going to have to put everything at risk. And the problem is, the reason that people play things so safe is because because it's so comfortable there. It's so easy there. And every day passes by without you noticing that terrifying passage of time. But once you realize that this is it, this is the one shot that you have, and what does it really matter if you fail? What does it really matter what other people think? The only thing that really matters is what do you think about yourself? And let me tell you right now, that self-belief is going to be built of knowing that you're willing to try. It isn't going to be built on whether or not you succeed. It's going to be built on whether or not you try, whether or not you show up in that moment. That thing that you rehearsed in your head 1,000 times where you hope you will be courageous. Be courageous. Know that about yourself. Know that every moment is that moment. Sometimes it's so small, it seems imperceptible. It seems like it's not a moment for courage. But every moment is a moment for courage. Every moment, right now, is your chance to act, to strike, to be bold, to do the thing that you're afraid you won't be able to do, but to do the thing that you know could lead you where you want to go, to do the thing that you would do if you knew you couldn't fail. But courage is doing it, even though you might fail. So be courageous. Be bold. Strike now.
And so it is. So as you may have guessed from the words that I've chosen, there's a quality of being bold that we're going to be exploring this month. I know it's shocking. You would never arrive at that. The song for this month also includes that idea. So I'm stepping out from hiding in corners. I'm coming out from being unseen. I'm moving out from abiding in shadows. I'm moving into the center of the scene. I let go of the fears that have owned me. I throw back the rocks that have stoned me. I embrace what my inner voice told me. I grace all that I am bold. So please feel free to sing along as the melody makes some sense. And if it doesn't, just give it your best shot. I'm stepping out from hiding in corners. I'm coming out from being unseen. I'm moving out from abiding in shadows. I'm moving into the center of the scene. I let go of the fears that have owned me. I throw back the rocks that have stoned me. I embrace what my inner voice told me. I grace all that I am. I am bold. You're stepping out from hiding in corners. You're coming out from being unseen. You're moving out from abiding in shadows. You're moving into the center of the scene. You let go of the fears that have owned you. You throw back the rocks that have stoned you. You embrace what your inner voice told you. You grace all that you are. You are bold. We're stepping out from hiding in corners. We're coming out from being unseen. We're moving out from abiding in shadows. We're moving into the center of the scene. We let go of the fears that have owned us. We throw back the rocks that have stoned us. We embrace what our inner voice told us. We grace all that we are. We are bold. I'm stepping out from hiding in corners. I'm coming out from being unseen. I'm moving out from abiding in shadows. I'm moving into the center of the scene. I let go of the fears that have owned me. I throw back the rocks that have stoned me. I embrace what my inner voice told me. I grace all that I am. I am bold. Good morning. And now we're going to have the pre-talks on. Let me get this correct here. Okay. I think everybody will recognize this.
Wiser.
It's online?
So, here we are, the second day of June, and it's, well, summer will begin on July 5th. But yesterday was nice. So, you know, we need the, like we were listening to the rain in the meditation, we do need the rain to enjoy and have all this beautiful greenery that we have around us. And there are other states and countries would probably give anything to get this or have this. So, as Reverend Vaughn said, this month is, the theme for June is Holy Boldness. And I wanted to say Holy Boldness Batman, but you know, it just kind of fit in there, you know, from when we were kids. And today's talk is called Sacred Audacity. I love that word, audacity. It's just to me, it's a funny word to say, but audacity being the willingness to take bold steps, bold risks, you know, to step outside of your comfort zone. Like in the reading video, to be bold, to be brave. And in the monthly theme, it says that life invites us to live it with gusto and vigor and verve. The only thing holding us back, you know, is us. And so we need to get our bloated nothingness out of the way. Jeffrey has a big exercise ball in his vehicle. And that I kind of picture as our bloated nothingness. I know this practitioner one time did this in this skit. She used one of those to get the bloated nothingness out of her way, and she actually used this big ball. And that's kind of like what we do in life. We have this this thing that won't allow us to venture out and to be brave, to be bold. And if Harriet Tubman could make a way out of her extreme circumstances, then we can. I don't know if anybody, you know, or seen the movie or whatever. That woman, I bow down to her. I mean, she went out, she got free, but that wasn't good enough. She wanted to get her family and other people out. I forgot how many people she actually got to freedom. But if she can do that, even just to get herself out of that, then we can do a lot of things that we don't think we can. And so our participation is needed in life. You know, we need to participate. If we stand by and let life pass us by, what is it? It's kind of boring. You know, it's kind of just blah. So we can either subdue our light or live boldly. And like that saying says, you know, don't hide your light under the bushel basket. Don't hide your light. Don't hide your light in the corners, as it was in Reverend Vaughn's song. You know, we are here to participate in life to its fullest, to enjoy it, to actually live it, not exist. Some of us only exist in life, or we exist in a period, then we may live it a little bit, then we go back to existing. Existing is just existing isn't fun. Isn't exciting. Isn't risk-taking, because isn't taking a little risk kind of exciting? Getting out there and just say, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should try that, you know? And it is exciting. So we have the permission of spirit to live creatively through our unique nature, because we are unique, each and every one of us. We're like snowflakes. Oh, I really don't like to use that word, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Well, maybe we are snowflakes, you know, those little white things that come down from the sky. But we're individual. But we're individualized expressions of the divine, of the one life. We get to step out, to draw outside the lines. How many times have you wanted to color outside the lines? paint outside of the lines, just be bad, like she said in that song, be bad, be bold. And think beyond our fears. I think that is one of the greatest things, to think beyond our fears. Because our fears, of course, we know can stifle us. Our fears can stop us dead in our tracks. But then, when we go beyond our fears, we get into our imagination and courage. Bold is a strong word with many dimensions. Living boldly is even more complex. At the beginning, it may seem like living is in the absence of fear, that we are being bold by living in the absence of fear, being confident about everything, being strong. But I think living boldly is more subtle than that. In my opinion, living boldly means living with one's head held high. Not walking around, sometimes just to get to look at the ground, but not to constantly be holding ourselves low, in low esteem and down. Holding our head high means, holding ourselves in high esteem. Holding ourselves to the highest, because we are. A bold living does not mean the absence of fear. It actually means to recognize our fear, to look at our fear, and to move through that fear. Just like in the walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You're not setting up camp, no condos, no. You're moving through it. And that's what we have to do. We have to move through our fear, to recognize it, to sometimes even embrace that fear. Acknowledge it and tackle it. It is about being aware of adversities, get the word out, adversities, and moving ahead with a strong resolve. Moving ahead with that strong resolve to get through it, to move through it. Because if we live in our fears, we'll never get anywhere in life. We won't find that, we won't experience that bliss, that happiness, that joy, that prosperity, that abundance. Also about being vulnerable. And I know a lot of us don't want to be vulnerable. That's very, can be very hard for us. Only a bold person can acknowledge their vulnerabilities to themselves. And coexist with them. So we know our vulnerabilities. We know our shortcomings. We know our faults, because we're perfect, yes, but we do have these little idiosyncrasies. And if we acknowledge them, and say, okay, I know I do this. I will try. I will do better next time. I was going to say try, but there's no try, just do. All these movies are popping into my head, so many little cliches. But it is true. If we don't do it, we're like I said, we're not going to get anywhere. So only a bold person can acknowledge their vulnerabilities. You have to be willing. You have to have that audacity to see and to actually embrace your vulnerabilities. To live boldly is to hold your values close to your chest. To fight against injustices of the world, and to love and support your fellow human beings. Let me read that again. To live boldly is to hold your values close to your chest. To fight against the injustices in the world, and love and support your fellow human beings. I was sharing with my massage therapist the other day about some of my values, and I do hold them close. Like the value of authenticity. Because if you're not authentic, then to me, this might be crude, but to me you're nothing. You need to be authentic in every aspect of your life. That's my thought, that's my feelings. And to live boldly is to make your life an example for the world. To be an example. Because we are. Each time we walk out of our house, out of the door here, people look at us and we are an example of a living being. And how we act, how we react is, is what they take. Because sometimes we see somebody that's like in a store throwing a fit or whatever, and that really isn't who they are. It's just something that happened at that moment. So we can't judge that person at that moment because that's not how they are in life, and that's not how we are in life. We're not the same every moment. We're actually new in each moment. Because this moment now is different from the moment I was in a moment ago. So, I mean, it's if you think about it, and life goes on, and how many moments do we have? How many past lives do we have? It's just, we are an example to the world, no matter how we act. So I think my advice is to act in authenticity and in boldness. It takes inner courage to even think about acting boldly. You have to have that courage within. But you have to have that courage within to do anything. We must overcome any fears or inhibitions that would prevent us from acting boldly. So what are those fears? What are those inhibitions that we have? I know I have plenty. That would be a good thing to I think, meditate on or contemplate on sometime. Just, okay, what are my greatest fears? What are the things that hold me back in life? My inhibitions. Like, am I afraid of heights? Or am I afraid of a crowd? Something that would hold us back would be something, we would say something like, what will people think of me? I think that's one of the biggest ones, We always care what people think, what others think. Mm-hmm. Well, if we're not doing anything wrong to hurt yourself or anybody else, what they think is none of my business. I never did like that statement, but it's true. What other people think is none of my business.
Amen.
I got an amen. Or can I really do this? There's a lot of things in life that you think you want to do, and there's so many things that I never thought I could do, and lo and behold, I'm doing it. So it's like, we need to move past those things. Do we think something we want to do is outrageous because no one else has done it? Well, to me, in some sense, that would give me more incentive to do it because no one else has done it. We're trained to think that something must be done a certain way or else it is unacceptable. In life, we're taught to, okay, this is the only way to do this is the only way to do that. And there's that saying, this and what? But and? No. I can't remember the saying. Anyway, this and, you can do it this way and you can do it this way. There's actually, and in the world, I don't believe there's anything in life that can only be done one way. Because it's all about us. We're individual. We're individualized, and we have our own thoughts, our own ways of doing things. And whose standards make it acceptable? Who says it's acceptable? And who are, quote unquote, they? We just listened to a thing before people got here about, there really is no they. It's only us. It's only us in this world. And I really like that talk because he said, and it's the small U.S. It's not the big, because we're all in this together, and we're all us. We're not us and them. That's where the biggest problems in life come from, I think, the us and thems. When we take a closer look at what fuels or holds us back, we can tap into how our belief system is developed. We can ask ourselves, is what I want to do determined or detrimental or harmful to others? Is it detrimental to myself? And is it going to harm anyone? We can do anything in life as long as we don't cross those lines of hurting ourselves or others. And one big thing is, what is something that makes your heart sing? I know a couple people here, I know what makes their heart sing. What they love to do, what their passion is. And it shows. They do it and display it, and they are an example. And what are these things that bring me joy? I mean, joy that makes you light up, makes you want to get out of bed in the morning instead of fall out of bed and struggle all day. These are questions that can help us unpack our inner thoughts. Ask ourselves these things and see what comes up. It's amazing, And the one thing, when you ask these questions and you get the answers, no judgment involved. Just write them down, let the pen flow, and I think you'd be amazed what you will find out, what you'll discover about yourself. I mean, I'm 73 and I'm still discovering, things about myself. Some things I don't like, some things I do like. So one of these things is Ernest Holmes, and it's one of our catch phrases is, change your thinking, change your life. We have to change our thinking, get our thoughts out of the negative and into the positive. Because sometimes we see what we don't like about ourselves or what we don't like about somebody else, and we can only dwell on that. So, but if we change our thinking about what's going on, our lives will change. And we can't change others. That's a big thing that I think we all need to learn, or we should have learned by now, that, there's no sense thinking you can change others. Like I said earlier, be an example. That's why one time after I got sober, I kind of got into this, why me? Why did this, and what am I supposed to do with this, being sober? And then I realized that, I can only be an example for someone else. And that's one of the greatest things in the world that you can be, an example. So sacred audacity allows us to do things that we don't necessarily think we can. Because we get that, we're willing to be bold. And sometimes we can't be bold, but you have the willingness. And that thing about being willing to be willing. Sometimes you have to go way out, and you start with small steps. And a lot of things in life are small, baby steps. And then practice. We allow ourselves to tap into the inner spiritual connection that knows what and how to do any and everything within and through it. We tap into that divine that divine spark that lives within us. We tap into that, because that is the thing that knows how. Just like when we do our treatments, we release it into the action of the law, because the law is a part of the universe that just takes our request. And I love to say that it shapes it and forms it the way it needs to be and makes it so. because that's what the law does. It takes our request. And it may not make it so in the exact time we want it. That's the tricky thing, you know. We want it, we're a society or whatever of wanting it now. Or maybe yesterday, you know. Yesterday would be fun. But that isn't how the divine timing works. And so that's why we need to release that into that law and allow the timing to be perfect. When we surrender and allow the spiritual, you know, to guide us, that spirit connection, you know, that we can accomplish anything. Just think about that. We can accomplish anything. Nothing, you know, anything is possible in the divine. Anything and everything. In spirit, all things are possible. The spiritual connection requires trust and faith, which need to be developed and cultivated. It can be a challenge to let go of control. I don't know if anybody here would ever find that challenge of letting go of control, and surrender to anything or anyone. So we need to release and not surrender. Don't surrender. That thing about being bold, I don't believe surrender is part of that. We must learn to trust the divine presence and ourselves. We need to trust the divine and trust ourselves because, of course, we are the divine in human form. We're not crazy or delusional. Sometimes that's debatable. But as a whole, no. When we think these things and do these things, we're not. We're knowing that we are okay. That we are okay. The more we trust, the more we're able to trust. So that's, again, that's one step at a time in practice. The more we trust, the more we're able to trust. All we need to do is take small steps. Take those baby steps. Sometimes we go a couple steps forward and a step back. Well, that's kind of life sometimes. And then we go forward again. There's no better time than now to start cultivating that sacred audacity. In this moment, in this time, to tell yourself, I am willing to be bold. I am willing to step out of this small comfort zone. There may be something that you've wanted to do, but you're afraid to step out for whatever reason. I'm probably never going to ride a bicycle again because I have my reasons. A couple tumbles, and I go, maybe it's not time for me to ride a bicycle. Indoor. But I try, Your spiritual tools will guide you. I don't know how to guide me on that, but I'm resigned to, I might try a tricycle. That might be fun because they don't tip over as easy.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Stationary.
Somebody said they do. I guess I need a stationary bike.
With a motor on it.
Repeat over and over in positive affirmation. Because I know these positive affirmations can change us, change our attitude. Because you're focusing on this affirmation. It could be an affirmation like, I let go of any fears and focus on faith. I let go of any fears, or my fears, whichever you want to be, and focus on faith. Because we have the faith of God. Then use the affirmation prayer to support your intention. Meditate and focus on your intention. Sit there and just contemplate your intention and focus on it. Notice the stories that you tell yourself and the feelings that come up. I'm sure we all have fantastic, good, lively, fun, loving stories about ourselves. But then, I think we focus more on the negative stories. Sometimes they seem to have more juice to them. You know, they get more reaction sometimes than the good stories. Dig deeper to see what's underneath those feelings. And the negative. Now take the negative story, the negative parts of the story, and retell it, but shifting the negative to positive, to more affirmative ways how the story could be. I know there's sometimes I said, I don't want to say this negative, so how can I turn this around? Because it's so easy to poof out, like, I can't do this, or things like that, when you say, well, I could do this, or maybe I could do this. So if we retell that story and make it more shifting into the positive, you can imagine yourself fulfilling this intention successfully. You can vision it and see yourself doing it. Maybe you want to go high flying on a trapeze. That's one thing I wanted when I was a kid. I wanted to be a trapeze artist. But you know, in some ways, I'm afraid of heights. Go figure. But then we jumped out of an airplane at 14,000 feet. But that was different because I was being held by somebody on my back. So there's always a little something along with it. Knowing that you have completed this successfully. Write in your journal about it, what comes up. Again, when you're journaling, no judgment. Because if you're judging it, then you're not concentrating. Talk, maybe with a spiritual practitioner. And talk it through, you know? Slowly move forward to actually doing the thing. Stand in gratitude. I think we need to stand in gratitude in everything. Knowing that you're showing the way. Knowing that the divine will show you the way, will lead the way. Because Spirit has your back, no matter what, you know. And act like we do with our prayer treatments, like it's already done. It's already here. You've already done this. I know Jeffrey's walked on fire, on burning rocks, stones, whatever they are. And, you know, I'm not sure I could do that, but who knows? By doing these things, you have already started living from sacred audacity and living in holy boldness. You're living, you know, at sacred audacity. You're willing to be bold. You're willing to step out of that comfort zone, a step across that line, and be that person that you've always wanted to be. Not saying there's anything wrong with you now, but this would expand you. You could expand yourself, your ideas, your enjoyment, and enter into that blissful life. So, Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. That is, you know, because, you know, our mind is so powerful. And our mind together with other minds, if we join together, can change the world, can save the world. So, I do have a little life work here. That's easy. Just ask yourself, what does living boldly mean to me? What does it mean to you? Write it down, all the ways you'd like to live boldly, And then just come back to it now and then. I'm not saying you have to do these things. However, you might get to the point where, no way, this is easy. Once I get that bloated nothingness out of the way, just kick it to the curb. Because we are the ones that stand in the way of anything in our lives, mostly. Our fear of doing it, our fear of what people would think, what they would say, and I would say, to heck with them. Spirit gave you this life to live fully and boldly. So let's do it. And so it is. And now, I gotta find you somewhere. There you are. Well, that's not what I wanted. Oh, yes it is. I just gotta talk to myself. That's kind of what the last song says too. Here we are. I'm gonna leave it just like that. So, our affirmation, we will declare it 3 times. It's really short, very easy, so here we go. I am bold, courageous, and brave. I am bold, courageous, and brave. One more time. I am bold, courageous, and brave. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.